The release of Call of Duty Black Ops 7 in late 2025 was anticipated as a triumphant return to form for Treyarch's storied franchise, promising a blend of nostalgic Cold War espionage, innovative co-op mechanics, and the signature high-octane multiplayer that has defined the series for over a decade. However, what unfolded was a torrent of backlash that painted the game not as a pinnacle of gaming evolution, but as a frustrating misstep laden with technical shortcomings, creative laziness, and a palpable sense of corporate fatigue. From the moment servers lit up on launch day, players and critics alike decried the single-player campaign as the nadir of the Black Ops lineage, a disjointed fever dream masquerading as narrative depth, where protagonists zipped through dreamlike sequences battling kaiju-sized abominations and teaming up with undead hordes in scenarios that veered perilously close to parody, evoking comparisons to absurd internet memes like Skibbity Toilet, rather than the gritty, morally ambiguous tales of its predecessors. Missions recycled assets from Black Ops 6 with minimal tweaks, leading to environments that felt stale and uninspired, while boss fights devolved into button-mashing spectacles devoid of tension or strategy, culminating in Avalon sequences universally lambasted as terrible for their clunky platforming and nonsensical lore dumps that failed to tie into the broader multiverse mythology fans had invested in. Compounding this was a host of user-unfriendly design choices. The inability to play offline, absence of mid-mission save points forcing grueling hour-long replays upon any interruption, and mandatory on-demand texture streaming that choked performance on even high-end hardware, rendering cutscenes blurry and load times interminable. Decisions that screamed prioritization of live service metrics over solitary enjoyment, leaving solo players feeling like second-class citizens in their own story. Multiplayer, often the series' saving grace, fared little better under the weight of controversial tweaks. The abrupt decision to drop carry-forward progression from Black Ops 6 alienated veterans who had grinded for cosmetics and loadouts, fracturing the community as lobbies filled with mismatched arsenals that clashed tonally with the 1980s aesthetic, turning what should have been a fresh start into a jarring mishmash of neon nostalgia and anachronistic firepower. The aim assist nerf, intended to balance controller and mouse/keyboard play, instead exposed a chasm between skilled operators and casuals, with the latter cohort venting fury over matches that now felt punishingly unforgiving, their rotational aim reduced to a whisper while movement mechanics, once fluid and exhilarating, stuttered under increased input lag and desync issues plaguing early netcode. Zombies mode, a fan-favorite pillar, drew ire for overhauling core systems in ways that diluted its survival horror roots. Enemy hit points ballooned to absurd levels, encouraging cheese strats over tactical depth, while new perks and wonder weapons felt like paywalled afterthoughts shoehorned in to boost microtransaction engagement, betraying the mode's legacy as a cooperative triumph of emergent chaos. Yet perhaps the most visceral outrage stemmed from Activision's brazen integration of generative AI, which infiltrated everything from calling cards, rendering grotesque, soulless abominations of melted faces and glitchy surrealism, to in-mission textures and even procedural dialogue variants that rang hollow and uncanny, sparking ethical debates about job displacement for artists and a broader erosion of human creativity in an industry already strained by annual release cycles. Social media erupted with memes roasting the AI slop as embarrassing and unplayable, while influencers documented side-by-side comparisons highlighting how these artifacts paled against handcrafted assets from Black Ops 2, fueling a narrative of Treyarch giving up in favor of algorithmic shortcuts to meet deadlines. Community forums overflowed with tales of rage quits, refund demands, and boycott calls, as the game's launch weekend devolved into a PR nightmare amplified by server queues stretching hours and rampant cheating in ranked playlists that went unaddressed for days. Even the endgame modes, touted as revolutionary with their extraction shooter hybrids, stumbled out of the gate with unbalanced loot economies and repetitive objectives that echoed Warzone's fatigue without its scale, leaving squads to grind for fleeting highs amid persistent bugs like invisible walls and phantom disconnects. This collective disillusionment wasn't merely nitpicking. It reflected a deeper malaise in the Call of Duty ecosystem, where subscription-driven development, geared toward Game Pass retention and Battle Pass velocity, had supplanted bold risks with formulaic bloat, alienating the diehards who once propelled the series to cultural dominance. Sales figures, while buoyed by brand loyalty, underperformed projections by double digits in the first week, with player counts on Steam plummeting 40% post-honeymoon phase as word-of-mouth soured into widespread apathy. Veterans expressed outright embarrassment at associating with a franchise that now prioritized engagement metrics over immersive escapism, whispering of a Black Ops era long buried under layers of monetization and mediocrity. In the end, Black Ops 7's poor reception served as a stark indictment of an industry chasing infinite growth at the expense of soul, leaving players to sift through the wreckage for glimmers of the magic that once made midnight launches electric, only to find, more often than not, a hollow echo of what could have been. As patches rolled out in a desperate bid for redemption, the damage lingered, a cautionary tale etched in server logs and subreddit rants, reminding gamers that even titans can falter when they forget why they fight.